The federal government of Nigeria on Friday increased its new national minimum wage offer to 62,000 naira, while labor union reduced their demand from 495,000 naira to 250,000 naira. This comes after the Minister of Finance, Wale Edun, submitted the cost implication of minimum wage to President Bola Tinubu. Recall that organized labor comprising the Nigeria Labour Congress and Trade Union Congress had embarked on a nationwide strike on Monday to demand an increased minimum wage for workers and the reversal of the recently increased electricity tariffs. However, the labor union leadership suspended their strike on Tuesday for 5 days after signing a commitment with the federal government to resume negotiations and come up with a new minimum wage within a week. As the back and forth over minimum wage negotiations continue between labor unions and the federal government, state governments have spoken up, through some of their governors, that they cannot pay the initial sum of 60,000 naira proposed earlier. Joining us now is Benson, Upah, Head of Department of Information, Nigeria Labour Congress. Good morning, Comrade Upah, and good to see you again on the morning show.
Good morning, my sister.
Morning. Morning, sir.
Mr. Upah, you've been quoted as saying that government is not serious yet. The tripartite committee has already made a recommendation to President Tinubu with the expectation that he will agree to the 62,000 naira proposed by government negotiators and then cause a bill to be sent to the National Assembly. And the National Assembly is waiting to pass the bill expeditiously. The Labour says no. 62,000 naira is a very low threshold, far from the 250,000 naira that you're asking for. So what is next? Is Labour going to suspend his relaxed strike? What's next? What should we expect? Because it will look like, from the way Labour is sounding, it looks like the negotiations have broken down.
Yeah, Dr. Bati, we acted in good faith by pausing this strike action. It was not as if we didn't know that this could arise. In fact, let me say that at the joint National Executive Council meeting of the TUC and LC, somebody did ask this question: what if the government acted malafide, in bad faith? And the response was that our troops, our resources, our reaction time, our good intentions are intact. So, but clearly, government is not serious. What we're talking about is not Maggie cubes per se, even as Maggie cubes should not be taken lightly now, given our precarious situation. But coming directly to answer your question, the appropriate organs of labor will meet and take an appropriate decision. But government needs to sit up. Government needs to be serious. Government has to do a self-introspection to see where the issues are. In our estimation, the issues do not lie with wages, but government's own profligacy and an assumption that is patently criminal, that some people should live well and the majority should live hideously poor. Such reasoning is unfair, it is undemocratic, and goes against the grain of democracy and civilization. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Upah. So I'm sure a number of people will be curious as to what organized labor's next steps would be, since obviously you rejected what the federal government has come out to say they're able to pay and what state governors are saying they're not even able to pay. What's the next step?
Yeah, I mean, the governors driving this mischief, oh yeah, we know them. And you can count them on your 5 fingers. I mean, these governors do not mean well. They're throwing spanners in the works. While the federal government has even moved up slightly to 62,000, they are saying they can't even pay the 60,000 that was initially proposed. It's an act of a mischief, and the numbers are against them. It is a tried fact that what they share at FAC has moved from 700 billion to 1.2 trillion and climbing. I mean, the states are very rich now. But cornered everything. The legislative powers, the judiciary powers, the local governments, they even want their police and their army. And we wish them luck. But one thing they cannot get away with is that they won't get away with this one. You see, it is not, the issue is not about labor being difficult. No. Labor is talking about something which is practical, testable, reasonably. Okay? And I tell you something. The rage of labor will be easier to manage than the rage of Nigerians. Even as we speak for and on behalf of these weak Nigerians. But if they push Nigerians to a point that they have to live the life of a jungle, we all become victims. I bet you continues on this trajectory, time shall come, and that time is not too far away now, that you peep from your window 3 to 4 times before you step out of your own room.
Okay,
yes.
2 things as we wrap up. What is Labour going to do next? Go back to strike or keep negotiations? And can you mention some of those governors, if you want to, and talk to them directly to have sympathy on this country? Briefly, as we wrap up.
First, the governors, we will not talk to them directly. We will monitor, we will look at them. The economists have not performed better than the economists of the states that have been paying the national minimum wage religiously and over time. As to what Labour will do next, as I've said, the appropriate organs of Labour meet and take a decision. On our part, we are ready for a negotiation. Negotiations in good faith.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Benson, Upah. We keep our fingers crossed to see what happens next.